Fox Sports.
We are Buffalo. We are Arizona.
'80s night here at Chase Field. The Arizona Diamondbacks looking to get into the groove. The race is on. The home stretch is here with Labor Day weekend. The D-backs only 6 games out of a playoff spot with 30 to go. On tonight, the Diamondbacks welcome in their 40 millionth fan. Good evening from Chase Field and welcome to the broadcast. Steve Berthume, Bob Brenly along the way. The Diamondbacks and San Francisco Giants opening up a 3-game series here tonight against a familiar foe. And Bob, Tim Lincecum may not necessarily be in Cy Young form these days, but as we saw earlier this year, when he threw a no-hitter, he can still be very good from time to time.
Yeah, even in a bad season, when he's on top of his game, he can be unhittable, as he showed back in July on the 13th against the Padres. Had everything working that night. He was spotting his fastball well. His secondary pitches were all working. We're told he used his curve, his slider, and his split-finger changeup. The bear hug was probably the toughest part of the night from his catcher, Buster Posey.
He certainly worked hard for that no-hitter at Petco Park in San Diego, 148 pitches, and this has been a recurring theme for Lincecum the last several seasons, a 7-13 record.
Yeah, giving up a lot more hits, giving up a lot more homers and walks. He still racks up big strikeout totals, but not the same freak that we saw in his 2 Cy Young years.
And he's headed into free agency this winter. It'll be interesting to see where Tim Lincecum ends up next year. We do know there's one Diamondback back in the lineup tonight who's very happy to see Lincecum on the mound.
And very anxious to see where Tim Lincecum is pitching next year because he wants to face him as often as possible. Paul Goldschmidt has absolutely owned Tim Lincecum. 5 home runs among his 9 hits in 17 at-bats, none of them cheapies.
Goldie, Goldie gone, perhaps. It's Paul Goldschmidt and Tim Lincecum. The matchup we'll be watching here at Chase Field as we open up a 3-game series against the San Francisco Giants. First pitch coming up. We take a break, but coming up next here on Fox Sports Arizona, we go back downstairs to Lisa Blanco, who's with us here. It's a big Labor Day weekend at Chase Field. We'll see you here at the ballpark tonight. First of 3, it's D-backs and Giants next on Fox Sports Arizona. George Brazil guarantees the lowest price on a new AC system. Call George today. By Lexus, the Golden Opportunity Sales Event is here. And by Fulton Homes. You're proud to own, we're proud to build.
Welcome back to D-Backs Live. A lot of fun activities planned here at the ballpark. The first game of the Giants series kicking off this weekend. A lot of fun planned. Of course, it's 80s night, my favorite. I'll be representing 1989, in fact. A lot of awesome outfits out here and cool. And don't forget, tomorrow night is the alum game. We'll be able to see Steve Finley, of course, Luis Gonzalez making the lineup, representing some of our legends, and Reggie Sanders, who's up here in the booth today. Don't forget that. You'll be able to buy tickets to the game and see a great game with some of our legends coming back. And then Sunday is Robert Klein and the Peacemakers post-game conference. What a treat this weekend, and be sure to be here at the ballpark for all of that fun. And guys, we're just excited to start this first game off against the San Francisco Giants in this weekend series. But first, your current D-backs look to rebound tonight. A day off, they open up the weekend series against Tim Lincecum. One guy who's had the way with him, of course, Paul Goldschmidt. Keep an eye on that matchup. Randall Delgado takes the mound tonight. Don't miss it on Fox Sports Arizona.
Series with the Giants takes us into Labor Day weekend and September. 6 back of a wild card spot with 30 to play. And we open up a 3-game set against Bruce Bochy's San Francisco Giants, who have won 9 of their last 11 here at Chase Field, Bob.
Angel Pagan back off the disabled list, still hitting that leadoff spot, play center field, followed by SCUTARO, Belt, and POSEY. Got to keep an eye on the two guys there, Belt and POSEY. Hunter Pence playing right field, Pablo Sandoval at third base, Brandon Crawford at short, Gregor Blanco out in left field, and the right-hander Tim Lincecum on the mound for the Giants.
For the Diamondbacks, 14th start of the season for 23-year-old Randall Delgado. His previous start came Saturday at Philadelphia. Delgado was the long-forgotten starter in what turned out to be the longest game in Diamondbacks history. He pitched well, only 3 hits allowed in 6 innings. He struck out 6. The issue for Randall last Saturday has been the same. That's been his biggest problem all year. 2 of the 3 hits he allowed were home runs.
Yeah, the first hit he allowed in the ball game wasn't until the bottom of the 5th inning. Gave up a leadoff homer to Carlos Ruiz. a leadoff homer in the 6th to Roger Bernardina, then gave up a double to Jimmy Rollins, who later came around to score on a wild pitch. But other than the long ball, Randall Delgado was really good against the Phillies.
And leading it off for the Giants, as Bob mentioned, is Angel Pagan, activated from the DL before the game. He's been out for 82 games after left hamstring surgery. He is in the lineup here for the first time since May 25th. He had hamstring surgery at the end of June, and they have missed this guy. He is the guy that makes them go, really.
I have to go back and count them again. I think they were 30 and 52 without Pagan in the lineup for the Giants.
Suffered the injury on an inside the park home run May 25th against the Rockies. He was rehabbing in an A-ball game for San Jose. About a month later, when he collapsed on the field running out a grounder, had to be carted off and had surgery on that hamstring a few days later. But he's back in tonight after missing 82 games.
And speed has always been a big part of Angel Pagan's game. We'll see how he gets down that first baseline should he put the ball in play here.
Drives that one to Pare and right. It's over the glove and off the wall, and Pagan is on the run. He'll stop at second. Angel Pagan, his 11th double, and a good start off the DL for him. And you can see why they've missed him so much.
He smokes that line drive and pitched down on the inner third of the plate, right where left-handed hitters usually like it, and Pagan is no exception. Hit that ball right at Gerardo Parra, but it shot over his head all the way to the wall for a leadoff double.
And he appeared to be running pretty well on that as well, which is a good sign for the Giants. Marco Scutaro now with Pagan on second. Scutaro with .299 and 2 homers. He comes in with a 5-game hit streak. Oh, 0-1. Bill Miller is the plate umpire tonight. Randall back with the glasses that seem to work so well in Philadelphia.
Bill Miller, a guy behind the plate that generally calls a big strike zone, likes to call the high strike. Kind of unusual in Major League Baseball for a guy to call a strike up above the belt, but Bill Miller will do that.
Scutaro lays down a nice bunt. Prado the bare hand play. Pagan to third, 1 away.
Not too much of a stretch to describe Marco Scutaro as the Giants version of Martin Prado. Now, Scutaro only plays second base, but he's one of those guys that'll do whatever is necessary in a given at bat. He'll hit the ball to the right side. In this case, he bunts to move Pagan up to third base for the middle of the Giants order.
Keep in mind the Padres scored first inning runs in every game of their series here earlier this week at Chase Field, and now Pagan is on third with 1 out for Brandon Belt, who's been a thorn in the Diamondbacks side all year long. And Brandon Belt having a very good second half. He's hitting almost .330 since the All-Star break with 5 home runs. Drives that one to center. A.J. Pollock coming in. Pagan will tag. Here's the throw. And he scores. 1-0 San Francisco. RBI for Brandon Belt.
One hit and 2 sacrifices produces the first run of the game. Belt with that little floater into shallow center. It looked like it took AJ a couple of extra steps to unload that ball to home plate, and with Pagan's speed, he's able to slide across with the first run of the game.
They were hoping that Pagan would be ready to go to be activated with the September roster expansion in September, so it was a bit of a surprise to see him here this weekend. And he's already had an impact. 1-0 Giants. 2 outs now. Buster Posey steps in. Buster Posey 305, 14 home runs and 66 RBIs. Power production for Buster is down a little bit lately. Now 33 games without a home run.
Yeah, only 3 extra base hits in his last 126 at bats. All those are doubles. Hopefully that trend will continue at least for 3 more days.
3-0. There's a strike. Good velocity from Delgado so far, mid-90s. Yeah, Posey has not homered since July 20th against the Diamondbacks here at Chase Field. Swings through the 3-1.
It seems like we talk about it every time Randall takes the mound, but watch the location of his pitches. When he's down around the knees, even at the bottom of the knees, that's when he's at his most effective. Pitches seem to have a little more deception when he's down in the zone.
2-out walk to Posey. That brings up Hunter Pence. And this is what Randall Delgado offers.
You see the 4-seamer average velocity at 93. We've seen him be a little hotter than that recently. Relies heavily on that 2-seam sinker. The straight changeup, his best out pitch, and he's shown a good curveball at times, just doesn't use it very often.
Big Hunter Pence. Looks at a strike, 0-1. Hunter Pence, 278, 16 home runs. He comes in with a 6-game hit streak. He's having a very good second half. Boy, when he swings, he does not get cheated.
I'm telling you, I was just thinking the same thing. For a guy that hits for the kind of power that Hunter Pence does, he chokes up. You see how far he chokes up on that bat. He is wound tight in that batter's box, just waiting to swing at something close to the strike zone. This is his 143rd consecutive game started, the longest streak in the National League, 5th longest in the major leagues.
0-2. Hunter Pence hitting almost .320 since the All-Star break. Manages to get a piece of that one as well. He's making Delgado work here.
Boy, I have a feeling a lot of people would be surprised as you get a look at his numbers first half, second half. Going back to the beginning of the 2010 season until today, in the National League, Hunter Pence leads in hits. Second in multi-hit games, third in RBIs, and first in game-winning RBI. There's a lot of guys I would name before I got to Hunter Pence.
And Delgado spins behind his back and gets that one for the final out. They strand the 2-out walk, but the Giants get a run. They take a 1-0 lead. Top scoring offense in the National League. Kirk Gibson's crew averaging more than 5 runs per game, and they need some offense here. Down already 1-0. This is the lineup tonight for the Sedona Red.
It'll be Parra, Eaton, and Goldschmidt at the top. Really surprised Goldie's in there against Lincecum, huh? Prado, Hill, and Montero in the middle. Pollock, Gregorius, and Delgado make up the bottom of the lineup for the D-backs tonight.
27th start of the season for 29-year-old right-hander Tim Lincecum. Gerardo Parra steps in, leading it off for the Diamondbacks. Two-time Cy Young winner, 4-time All-Star. Lincecum has not had a winning season since 2010, under 500 in the win column for the 3rd straight season. However, let's not forget he did pitch a no-hitter against the Padres in July at Petco Park. He struck out 13 in that game.
You see his arsenal. He also throws a curveball on occasion, but relies heavily on the 4-seamer and the straight changeup, or rather the split finger changeup. And talking about that no-hitter against the Padres with Mike Krukow, their fine TV analyst for the Giants, and said he had everything working, which usually you do when you throw a no-hitter.
148 pitches to get the no-no. He's ahead 1-2 on Parra. Parra in the leadoff spot. He's got 5 leadoff homers this year. Only the Reds' Shin-Soo Choo has more with 6. 2-2. And this will be a landmark game for Gerardo Parra. He comes into tonight 3 at-bats shy of 500 for the first time in his career. 272 on the year, 10 homers. SCUTARO smothers it and makes a tremendous play for the Giants to get Parra. Takes a base hit away.
That's something the Giants have seen far too little of this year. Good defense. SCUTARO with a tremendous sliding play, just throws from the seat of his pants. One hopper right to Brandon Belt. Can't do it any better than that. This Giants team, only the Brewers have made more errors in the National League than the San Francisco Giants, a team that, at least in recent memory, has been built around good pitching and good defense. They're next to the last in errors in the National League, 3rd from the last in team ERA.
Adam Spanky Eaton. 263, couple of home runs. I talked to Adam during batting practice today, Bob, and I asked you, asked him, what do you think about hitting in the 2-hole? A little different for you. He says, you know what, I really like it because you get up there and you get to see 3 or 4 free pitches. And I said, what do you mean by that? He said, well, you get a kind of a preview of the starting pitcher instead of being the leadoff guy. He said it made a big difference for him.
Also, anytime you get an opportunity to hit in front of Paul Goldschmidt, I would think that's a pretty good spot to be in the lineup.
Drives that one to right field. Hunter Pence won't get there. It stays in the yard, and Adam Eaton is on the run. He'll stop at second with his 5th double. Diamondbacks trying to answer the Giants in the 1st.
Pence playing straight away in right field. Looked like Pagan was shaded a little bit toward the gap in left center, and Adam Eaton perfectly splits that gap out toward the RamTrucks.com pool. Giants actually got a good bounce off the wall that time. The ball pretty much came right back to Angel Pagan. That was the only way they were able to hold Adam Eaton to a double.
Paul Goldschmidt steps in now, one of Tim Lincecum's biggest nemesis after his somewhat highly publicized off day on Wednesday. And these are the numbers. Goldie versus Lincecum, 9 for 17. 5 of those 9 hits, home runs. Late swing there, and it's 0-2.
That is a real oddity. This is something we've only seen maybe a handful of all season. Awkward swings by Paul Goldschmidt. Clearly fooled by that Lincecum delivery. Just couldn't stop the swing.
Buster Posey behind the plate. These two have not always worked well together. They have had some issues over the course of their careers with the Giants in terms of getting on the same page.
Yeah, not only that, but Buster Posey's gone on record as saying the day after he catches Lincecum, he feels like he's been in a war.
That one is rolled to short. Crawford. EATON the third, 2 outs.
Lincecum has uncorked 8 wild pitches this year, and there have been numerous other pitches in the dirt that Giants catchers have had to block.
So it'll be up to Martin Prado to try and get that run home from third with 2 outs. 80s night here, so Martin's usual music has been replaced by Ray Parker Jr. with the Ghostbusters theme.
Who are you going to call?
Ghostbusters, 284 and 13 homers. Don't cross the streams. Now they have very colorful headshots. They just had Adam Eaton and E.T. And here's Prado with the Ghostbusters theme. 80s night at Chase Field. There's the strike. 0-2. How about this? In August, with runners in scoring position, hitting almost 470. Adam Eaton, the runner at third, 2 down. '94 up and in, 1-2.
15 out of 32 with runners in scoring position. That's one thing to rack up the hits the way Martin has been in the month of August, but he's getting him at clutch times.
If he is not National League Player of the Month, there should be an investigation. Down the line and right, Brandon Belt is there to corral it, and Lincecum strands the runner at third. We are through 1 at Chase Field. The Giants lead the Diamondbacks 1-0. Sports coverage like post-game analysis and reaction from Jack Magruder. Diamondbacks 80s night photo gallery. Steve Rivera reports on the Arizona NAU season opener. And it's cut down time for the Cardinals. All that and more right now at FoxSportsArizona.com. Giants lead the Diamondbacks 1-0. Pablo Sandoval, Brandon Crawford, Gregor Blanco 6, 7, and 8 against Randall Delgado, the Panda, at 269 and 10 homers.
It's already been a night of oddities. Goldie with an awkward looking half check swing, and Pablo Sandoval actually took a pitch.
Swings at the second one right to Aaron Hill. One away. You still have to work on your all WW team. That would be run out of spots.
Pablo might be the captain.
Here's Brandon Crawford. Giant shortstop. 267 and 8 homers. His offense has been up and down this year, much more down lately. Hitting about 170 over his last 10 games. Giants lead 1-0. Angel Pagan led off the game with a double. Scored from third on a Brandon Belt sacrifice fly. Two and one. Diamondbacks beginning play today. 9.5 games behind the Dodgers in the NL West. 6 back of the Reds for the second National League wildcard spot. The Reds right now trailing 6-2 at Coors Field, Colorado. Bronson Arroyo having a rough night. Dodgers host the Padres tonight in LA. That's Ryu versus Stoltz. So good news for the Diamondbacks right there early. There's the standings. 6 back with 30 to play.
30 games remaining, including tonight. All but 6 are against National League West opponents. 3 with the Blue Jays and then 3 with the Nationals to end the season. Everything else in between, National League West opponents.
How does a 6-game gap with 30 to play look from your angle?
Well, it is what it is. You'd certainly like it to be a little less than that. You'd like to be have somebody else be chasing you, but it's certainly doable. I mean, as we've heard Gibby and the players talk about all the time, they just have to take care of their own business. Obviously, they need some help from somebody else, but if they don't play good baseball, it doesn't matter if you get help.
Martin Prado would like this one. 2 down.
Talked about it a week or so ago. I mean, the reality of baseball is until you're mathematically eliminated, you always feel like you have a chance. It may not be a good chance, but until they have that X by your name in the standings in the morning, you've still got a chance. We're still waiting on that run. You know, we've been waiting for it all season long, that 18 out of 20 or 21 out of 25, something like that, to really get back into it.
Gregor Blanco, well, they've taken 2 of 3 on the homestand so far, so hopefully this is the start of that run they make, and we'll see you in September. Blanco at 251. Blanco at the bottom of the order here tonight. He's been just a 200 hitter since July the 1st. .95 from Delgado once again, but he misses there, and he's behind 3-0. Lincecum, the pitcher, is on deck. Giants are traveling right now. They are 1-2 so far on a road trip, 9 games in 10 days. They lost 2 of 3 at Colorado. They're here at Chase Field this weekend, and then they play 3 at San Diego. There's the strikeout. First tonight for Randall Delgado, who works a 1-2-3 second. CenturyLink, your link to what's next. Coming up for the Diamondbacks, Aaron Hill leads off the home half. He's got a 1-0 lead. He'll work to Aaron Hill, Miguel Montero, and A.J. Pollock for the Diamondbacks. 80s night here at Chase Field, and it's a great picture up on the scoreboard of Aaron Hill as Indiana Jones. 316, 9 homers. Well, that doesn't really work because Indiana Jones, as I recall, hated snakes. That one is blooped into shallow left center, and Brandon Crawford makes a tremendous running catch.
Well, unfortunately, we've seen way too much of that from Brandon Crawford. He's one of those shortstops that will make the incredible plays, but occasionally brain cramp on the most routine grounders right at him. Nice running catch that time out in shallow left center. Angel Pagan, I don't know if he didn't see the ball off the bat or just thought he couldn't get there. He didn't even move from center field.
It's Miggy time back behind the plate. Miguel Montero, 228, 9 homers. Miggy 2 hits and 8 at bats since returning from that lower back strain that kept him out of 24 games. He was shut down after July 28th. One and two.
And this is something you rarely see anymore. Miguel Montero has 52 career at-bats against Tim Lincecum. Wow. They've both been in the National League West for the entirety of their careers. They both faced each other 18 times a season. Miggy's usually in the lineup every day. We used to see a lot of, on the sheets we get up here in the booth that lists every hitter on one team and how he does against the pitcher on the other team. And generally it's 8 at-bats, 10 at-bats maybe, but 52 previous at-bats.
How's he doing?
9 for 52, 173 batting average. Does have 4 doubles.
There it is. Looking for number 10 right here. 1 and 2. There it is. Bob Bradley, ladies and gentlemen.
If it were only that easy, we'd never make an out.
Just drove that one into right center. Diamondbacks have a 1-out base runner, A.J. Pollock, batting 7th tonight. A.J. 253, 7 home runs. A.J. had a pair of hits in his last start Wednesday against the Padres. And a 3-hit game in Sunday's road trip finale at Philadelphia, including a 7th home run. Drives it to center, right at Pagan. 2 down. A reminder, fans, every time a Diamondback player hits a home run this season, Fulton Homes will donate $150 to the Central Arizona Mountain Rescue Association. 2 down for Didi. Look at a smile on his face. He sees the scoreboard and he pities the fool.
He pities the fool.
80s night at Chase Field. Oh boy. I mean, it's rare you see a player look up trying to face Tim Lincecum and he just breaks out laughing. But how can he not? He's got that staring him in the face in center field. 0-1. I love it when a plan comes together. Best 80s night spoof? Tweet your vote to @Fox Sports Arizona. Goldie.
Caddyshack.
That's Caddyshack. You've got Cole Mentor into I'll Be Back. Didi as B.A. Baracus. 0-2. Okay, one more look. We got to get another look at Brad Ziegler's Karate Kid.
Wax on, wax off.
Show me paint defense. So that's our AT&T Twitter poll question. Tweet your answer to @Fox Sports Arizona. Goldie one's pretty good. I was told that one would be good, and they were right. Varmint.
That's pretty good. I like Josh Cole Mentor, so I like the shades,
Terminator,
the beard. Yeah.
There's a little Bill Murray for you on the T-shirt. 2-2. Popped him up. Sandoval in fair territory. And that's the inning. We are through 2 at Chase Field. The Diamondbacks trail at 1-0.
Interactive kiosks right here at Chase Field during any Arizona Diamondbacks regular season home game.
Set for the 3rd inning. Giants lead the Diamondbacks 1-0. Tim Lincecum, Angel Pagan, Marco Scutaro, 9-1-2 on 80s night at Chase Field. D-backs, she-backs, we back the D-backs. Roger Klein at the Peacemakers will be here Sunday for the big post-game concert there, BB.
In case he forgets the lyrics, they can just use that as a cue card.
Good job as a roadie. Breaking news, Paul Goldschmidt knocks the hair off Tim Lincecum. This just in.
That's pretty good.
Look at that, he got stats and everything to back it up there. Goldie back in the lineup tonight. And Lincecum will lead it off in the 3rd against Randall Delgado. Mentioned Randall has got to cut down on the home runs. That's a key for him this year. Something we'll be keeping an eye on. And for Randall, those happen when he leaves pitches up and hanging it around in the strike zone. Oh, what do we got? Snacks.
Ballpark steak.
Last year in Atlanta, Randall worked 92 innings, allowed 8 home runs. This year, 83 innings, 15 home runs. And that is what has kept him from getting to the next level as a big league pitcher, it seems, Bob, because when he does make mistakes, it costs him big time with a home run.
Yeah, and you know, pitching in the ballpark in Atlanta as opposed to Chase Field, half your starts or approximately half your starts here at home, obviously you're going to give up a few more homers.
Gets the strikeout, second in a row for Delgado, who's now retired 5 straight.
But you're absolutely right about the location. Talking to opposing hitters after facing Delgado, I'll say basically the same thing. He's got really good stuff when he's down. I think he has a little more deception when he's down there around the knees. It's a little tougher to identify the difference between his sinker and his changeup when he's down in the zone. When that pitch gets elevated, a little easier for hitters to recognize it.
Angel Pagan, his first game off the DL, doubled and scored his first time. Where Randall has shown improvement this year, and we've talked about this, the bases on balls. He walked over 4 batters per 9 innings last year with the Braves. He's cut that number down by more than half this year with the Diamondbacks. In fact, he has walked 1 or no batters in a ball game in 10 different starts this year. And so that's something the Diamondbacks coaching staff has been thrilled with.
Well, there have been a lot of really good pitchers in the history of this game that gave up a lot of home runs, but they were usually solo homers, and those are rally killers. Nobody on base. You're still pitching out of the windup. I like to think your offense can get it back for you when they get their turn to swing, but when you start walking guys ahead of those home runs, that's when you find yourself in the shower quickly, wondering what happened.
That one is rolled to second, Aaron Hill. 6 in a row set down by Delgado, 2 down.
And there's pitchers in the Hall of Fame that consistently led their leagues in home runs allowed every year.
Just don't get beat by the big one. Marco Scutaro. I think it's been a great year for Randall as he continues working through what's kind of become an advanced development program at a relatively young age, only 23. Through 92 innings for the Braves in the big leagues last year, and he should be right on the cusp of that number this year after tonight's start. And he's been one of the starters on this D-back staff that has generally given the team a chance to win every time out this year.
I think his mentality has changed quite a bit too. You know, when you're a young pitcher, in and out of the rotation, you're that guy that plugs in if somebody needs an extra day of rest in the rotation. Pitch out of the bullpen from time to time, but he knows he's going to be a starting pitcher here.
He has retired 7 in a row, back-to-back 1, 2, 3 innings for Randall Delgado. CenturyLink, your link to what's next as we look ahead to tomorrow night's alumni game. Reggie Sanders joins us in the booth when we come back. Exhibition game presented by Denny's and in partnership with Sanderson Ford as Randall Delgado leads off the Diamondbacks third against Tim Lincecum. And joining us in the booth here is Reggie Sanders. I look at Reggie here. I'm like, why aren't you still playing?
Hey, don't let it fool you.
Well, I mean, this is a fantastic. I mean, you look like you could get down there right now and hit.
No, well, no, that's not true. I mean, it may appear that way, but we're going to keep it. We're going to keep it simple.
Yeah, we'll find out tomorrow.
We'll find out tomorrow. Yeah.
It's great to have you up here, man.
You had a homer last year, right, in the alumni game?
Almost.
Oh, almost.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think it was 406.
Oh, is that all?
Oh, yeah.
He's still got the number memorized.
So you don't want to do that because then you got to run.
Well, yeah, that's true. But then to even top that off, they're expecting me to do it again.
You got Gonzo, who's doing radio tonight, banging on the glass, giving you a hard time.
Well, Gonzo said I have a little bit too much oil on.
What? Pardon?
Oh, who knows?
Went away.
Yeah, they were teammates for a while. So.
So what are you doing with yourself these days? Give us the story.
So I have a transition program where I help athletes transition. And so as you guys know, you can imagine what the numbers are across the board when it comes to athletes transitioning at the end of their career. And so what we do is we help them to develop a whole life. And so when I think about myself as a player, I was one-dimensional. And so I focused more on my craft and not my family, not my business life, and all those other things. And so it leaves you at the end of your career. It's like, oh my God, wait a minute, I thought I had this, I thought I had that, and all those things kind of unfold. And so what we do is we help re-energize your whole life and help support you and your family through that.
Wow, so it sounds like that is something that turned out of an experience for you when you were finished playing that, huh?
Well, absolutely. As players, we all go through different scenarios. One may be worse than the other, but for the most part, diving into just the experience of myself and other players, and when I got out of the game, it was one of those things that was just so evident to me, and really was a gift to me to understand that what my why was. My why was to be able to help other athletes transition.
Here's the double last year. Look at this, 406 at the 407.
Okay, so it was 405.
Now, have you been in the cage at all? Working out? Nothing. Huh?
No, I haven't been in the cage.
All right.
No. It's funny because, when I go out tomorrow, I won't hit, and then I go out tomorrow. Is the game tomorrow night?
Yeah.
Yeah, so tomorrow night. Sorry. I guess I should have known that, right? So, and I'll just hit the ball to right field, and then adrenaline take over after that.
All right. The old instincts will kick in.
Exactly.
Now, what was Bob Brenly like as a manager?
Hey, it's funny. So it's one of those things because I've always respected this man, and so it was one of those scenarios when I left, things just kind of just went crazy, and so I think from the papers and from the way things kind of transpired at the end of the year. Wow.
Adam Eaton 2 for 2.
The way things kind of transpired at the end of the year, and when I left to go to San Francisco, it was just a very tough scenario at that particular point. And so, but I've always respected him as a manager. I knew he was a fantastic man, and what he tried to do to support us as players and as men on the Diamondbacks field.
Still to this day, I insist one of the toughest lineup decisions I ever had was Game 7. I know you hated me that night, but against the Rocket, we just thought maybe Danny Batista was a little better matchup. You were such a good low ball hitter,
yes,
and the Rocket threw that high fastball, and I tried to explain it to you as best I could a couple times, but I know that was a tough one for you to swallow.
Well, absolutely, yeah, it is a tough one because as you know, that's what. When especially in a situation like that, it's like, you played all year, and then you think that, this is what you play for, that opportunity, and then when that opportunity doesn't come, and it was definitely frustrating, absolutely.
Well, we wouldn't have been there without you, Reggie. I know that. That month of August you had was unbelievable.
Crawford, they go the short way, and they get the force on Eaton. Well, Reggie, hang around. You're not going anywhere. We're going into extra innings with you when we come back. D-backs will be wearing the black, purple, and teal throwback jerseys for the 5-10 game against the Giants. Then after the last out, we welcome back former D-back greats Luis Gonzalez, Matt Williams, Steve Finley, Reggie Sanders, and more for the second annual Alumni Exhibition Game presented by Denny's and in partnership with Sanderson Ford. The Alumni Game is free to attend with a ticket to tomorrow's throwback game. You can still get them right now online at dbacks.com/alumni. And back with us here for another half inning is Reggie Sanders, who'll be playing in that game. And as we said, looking good. He had the big double last year. Your expectations for tomorrow night?
No expectations. No, we don't do that. I'm already nervous. So I want you to know that. So as you was reading that, I got nervous.
You got nervous?
So I'm going to leave it alone.
Well, we should warn you that Matty's been out here taking batting practice every day for the last 3 weeks.
Well, rightfully so. we know how Matty rolls.
He's serious about it. He's serious about everything he does.
Yes, he is.
Sort of get that look in his eye.
Well, it's funny because I was in spring training with these guys this year, and so Matty was out of everyone. Matty was always. Oh, look at him! Yeah, there he is.
He's been doing this every day for weeks now. That's on the ground to second. Boy, Randall Delgado has had the ground ball going here. That's 8 in a row set down by the Diamondback starter. One away in the fourth.
So, you know what's funny? We were talking about the transition stuff.
Yeah.
I'm working on, we were talking off camera a little bit, and so I'm working on a baseball retirement gala. And so what that will do is...
An event.
It's an event,
okay.
Absolutely. And so what that will do is when I think about it, it gives the players closure. And so most of the players, when they retire, they really don't have closure as to, they want to come back, or they feel like they still got it in them or whatever, and they can't transcend to that next part of their life. And so what we would do is we will celebrate them in that time, them and their families, and then we will have through that process we celebrate them, and then we introduce the transition program at the end of the event.
Well, I got to tell you, Reggie, and we were talking between innings, I think this program has some legs, because we both know a lot of players that when their competitive days on the field are over, they don't know what direction to go. They don't have an outlet for all that energy and all that focus and concentration that they've been so used to for the years. That for a lot of guys, that's the toughest transition they'll make in their life.
It definitely is, and it's one of those things. It's hard to redefine yourself when you've done, let's say, the game of baseball for so many years. I think about myself, it's been 20 years in the professional sports, and then I think about Little League, I think about college, and all those things. It's always been baseball, and so I never had an opportunity to really focus on those other aspects of my life.
To think of yourself or define yourself in other terms than baseball player.
Absolutely.
Or athlete.
Athlete.
Yeah.
But having said that, what baseball gives you is the ability to be able to go out into the world and do what you need to do, because you've been given the strength and the work ethic to do what you need to do.
Hunter Pence, a 2-out single, breaks a stretch of 9 straight set down by Delgado. Now here's Pablo Sandoval. Do you watch a lot of D-backs games? Or you?
I do. I listen to you guys quite often, and I think you guys are phenomenal. I think you guys are very good at what you guys do. You guys sound amazing.
He's doing all the work. I'm trying to stay out of the way. It took me about 4 months to figure that out, but I got there.
No, you guys work extremely well together. And
now, what do you think of the ball club? I mean, how are they looking to you?
They at the first part of the year, they looked amazing, and they were exciting to me because and unexpected, really, when I think about all the things that they've done the first half, and then now they're going through a couple of little woes. I'm not watching it as much as I should be to make a educated assumption, but from what I've seen thus far, I mean, I think that for what they have, I think they do a very good job of what they have.
Have you been staying up late watching our 16-inning games, our 18-inning games?
No, I cut it off.
One of the benefits of being retired.
That's right. How many you guys had? You had 1 or 2?
20.
20?
Yeah.
No, you have not.
20 extra inning games.
Are y'all serious?
And half of them go 14 innings or more. We on the last road trip we did a 16-inning game and an 18-inning game.
Oh my God.
Little bonus baseball, Reggie.
There's Harold Flieger pouncing on that one. Yeah, we don't mess around. We go extras. We don't give you 10 or 11. We're going 14, 16, 18.
I love it. Yeah, I had Steve Finley texting me a few minutes ago, say, hurry up so we can go eat sushi.
Oh. Yeah, I bet everybody's in town, right? You must have big plans today.
And DeLucci's he's in Italy. Yeah, so he's doing some training out in Italy with some company. I don't know what company it is, but yeah.
1-2. Now, I'm going to guess that you would prefer the purple to the Sedona red,
yes,
having worn that. But what do you think of the way the Diamondbacks have evolved here as a franchise, the way they fit into the sports landscape here in the Valley and all of Arizona?
Well, I think you always have to reinvent yourself, and when you really think about this organization, it's still a new organization in the big scheme of things, and there have been so much transition for it to be such a young team as well. And so I think as they redefine themselves, I think they're doing a very good job at that. And the team that they put, as we all know, it's all about the team we put on the field as well. So I think they're headed in the right direction.
Good young nucleus of players is Delgado now, after having retired 9 in a row, gives up a pair of 2-out singles, and he'll work to Brandon Crawford with 2 on and 2 out. It's interesting. You always see some of the old purple mixed in with the Sedona red.
Reggie, I don't know if you remember all the specifics of your adventure in spring training when you couldn't change your spare tire. I don't know if you want to tell that story.
That is funny. So I don't even remember where we were going, what game that was, but so I was staying at home. I think I was commuting back and forth, and so there was a game that I had to go to, and ended up getting a flat tire, and so I called. I don't know if I called you directly, Bob, or if I
think you called Roger Riley, and he came in and told me. Yeah.
So I called Roger Riley, and I said, "Hey, Roger, I'm not going to be able to. I don't know right now. I'm waiting for AAA to come, and so I got to wait for a little while and see what's going on." So. What exactly?
Well, you end up making it there.
Okay, yeah.
But the real story started the next day when you showed up and there was a tire sitting in your locker.
And it was my tire too.
Yeah.
It was. It was literally my tire. and so with that tire, it became our mascot for the whole year.
The tire traveled with the
team? It did. It traveled.
Roger was thrilled with that.
And it was one of the reasons why we won the World Series.
If you can drag a tire around for 162 games, you can do anything.
Oh, man.
Well, now you got to show up tomorrow with a tire.
Well, knowing Gonzo,
he probably would.
That's got a whole stack of tires down there ready to put.
Buying them online right now. 0-2. Well, it should be a fun event tomorrow night, that's for sure. Hope to have as many fans out here as we can fit.
If I'm not mistaken, I think they said we have 40 guys coming.
Wow.
That's pretty good.
Now there's Gonzo, Leo Gilmartin overseeing things in the radio booth. Gonzo trying to figure out what's going on.
Yeah, Don Baylor had a great quote talking about young players and what they do with the money in the big leagues, and he said that money doesn't come with instructions, and Gonzo is a perfect example of that.
So you sit with Gonzo at a rain delay while you're waiting for the game. He just gets the iPad out, starts buying stuff. I need one of those. 0-2. Big strikeout for Randall Delgado. He strands 2. The great Reggie Sanders. Reggie, thanks so much for sticking around, working extra innings with us.
My pleasure.
We'll see you tomorrow night.
My pleasure, Bob. Thank you, baby.
Two best hitters in the big league right now. He's been amazing. He's been amazing. He had a little bit of a rough start, and we all know that. And we all knew that he was a better hitter than what he was showing early. And, I don't blame him. He's just, he want to impress everybody and show everybody what he can do. And he would probably put a little bit too much pressure on himself. And now that he feel part of the family, he just feel more relaxed now. And he goes out there and he's doing a better job.
And that's our Geico quote of the game. Of course, Prado is batting .364 with 30 RBIs in the month of August. I also spoke with Will Nieves and other teammates on the success that he's had this month. Everyone told me they knew the player he was at the start of the season, and at some point he really turned a corner. His confidence is up. He's swinging a hot bat, and guys, his numbers definitely show that.
Oh, Lisa, they are fantastic, leading the National League in hits and RBI since the All-Star break. He has been the best hitter in the league. And you go back to June 25th and you circle that date, Bob. It's amazing. Somebody literally just flipped the switch and he's been a different guy. That one's lifted high in the air, right in front of home plate. Buster Posey in foul ground. That's the first out.
Yeah, with a couple games left to play in the month of August, he's already set the D-backs record for RBIs, for hits, and for highest batting average in the month of August.
They retire Prado to lead off the fourth. Aaron Hill popped up to short his first time. Nice job in that last half inning by Randall Delgado. He got the 2 quick ground ball outs, then a couple of singles by Pence and Sandoval, then bounced back to strike out Crawford and drain those runners. Only 4 players in the National League have more hits in August than Aaron Hill. One of them is Martin Prado, who leads the league. And Aaron is this month, everybody talked about Prado on and on. He's been kind of the sidekick here in terms of the August production.
The wingman.
Yeah. Pretty good 3, 4, 5 right now. Goldschmidt, Prado, Hill in this Diamondback lineup. Lincecum took something off there. It's 1-2. There's Aaron Hill's August production, hitting over .380.
Wow. And the RBI total would be a lot higher, but unfortunately, most of the time he's hitting behind Martin Prado, and there's usually not much left on by the time Martin's done.
He's already cleaned up.
Hey fans, anytime the D-back scores 6 runs or more, Taco Bell is giving away 3 free tacos with the purchase of a large drink between 4 and 6 the following day at participating locations.
Well, Reggie Sanders seems like a pretty impressive guy.
Oh man, I'm telling you, what a combination of skills he had. You needed a home run, he could hit the ball out of the ballpark. You needed a stolen base, get a runner in scoring position late in the game, he could steal a base for you. Good outfielder, covered a ton of ground out there in right field. And I meant it when I said it. That was one of the toughest decisions I had to make as a manager in my short managerial career, was who starts in right field game 7 against Roger Clemens. As I said, Reggie was a dead low ball hitter. Unfortunately, he was a high ball swinger. And we were just afraid that Clemens throwing that high 4-seam fastball would be a little more than Reggie could handle in that game. Danny Batista was a guy who was a real good high fastball hitter, and even though it was a tough decision, I think we made the right one.
Well, hey, if you take a team to the World Series in a 7th game, you don't get there by having all easy decisions, I don't imagine. And that was, I'm sure, one in a series of hundreds over the course of the year.
And one of the things that made it so hard was knowing the kind of player Reggie is, the kind of man he is. And like I said, he hit over .320 in the month of August. He and Gonzo both had 10 home runs in the month of August just to put us in a position to make the playoffs that year.
Over there in the radio booth now, Greg Schulte and Luis Gonzalez. Leo Gilmartin running things. Miguel Montero. Mickey singled his first time up. Notice when you compare Randall Delgado's radar gun readings with Tim Lincecum, it goes back to one of the issues that people have talked about with Lincecum, and that's Well, as Brian Sabian, the Giants GM, said, this is a guy who's in the process of learning how to pitch with less velocity. He's going to be in the very low 90s most of the time. Very different from the guy that won back-to-back Cy Youngs. Aaron Hill off of the pitch. Montero fouls it off. And they opened spring training this year, and Sabian was pretty frank with reporters. He said about Lincecum, he's got to pitch to contact and throw more strikes. Fastball is not going to come back. He can still hump it up there occasionally, but he's generally going to work 91 to 92-ish.
Trying to work on a little bit of a sinker, get some movement. It's something he can get a ground ball, pitch to that contact you were talking about. Secondary pitches, he's been relying on those a lot more than he has in the past. Good hard slider right there at 83. That's a tough transition, you know, going from a guy that just rears back and could throw high fastballs by just about any hitter he wanted to at any time he wanted to. And if he needed a secondary pitch, he went right to that splitter. But he's had to learn how to use his breaking pitches. He's had to learn how to move that fastball in and out, up and down. And when he's able to do that, like he did against the Padres in July, he can still be a dominating pitcher.
It's a good example right there of what you were talking about with Buster Posey, saying he felt like he needed a day off after catching Lincecum.
I think Lincecum, he calls those scuds, those fastballs that hit out in front of home plate. And as a catcher, you just have to block them with some body parts. And unfortunately for Buster, a lot of times it hits non-padded areas.
2-2. There's the strikeout. That's the first tonight for Lincecum. 2 down.
I mentioned at the top of the show, Bill Miller, a guy that will call that high strike. It's a breaking ball up there about belt high. No hesitation on the part of the home plate umpire. First strikeout of the game for Lincecum.
You saw the career numbers for Lincecum. 4-time All-Star, back-to-back Cy Young winner in 08 and 09. 2008 through 2011, no pitcher in baseball struck out more batters, and only Roy Halladay had a better ERA. But he's a different guy these days. A.J. Pollock. Talking about that diminished velocity, Brian Sabian was saying that Lincecum can still miss a bat, but it's interesting that he put the onus on Lincecum to reinvent himself with that diminished velocity. Trying to become more efficient, increase your ability to get guys out in 3 pitches or fewer. AJ flying out to center his first time up. Last season, Tim Lincecum led the National League in losses, earned runs allowed, and wild pitches. It was a rough one. Aaron Hill takes off. Pollock swings through. The throw from Posey is in time. They get Aaron Hill. And that's the inning. We are through for the Diamondbacks. Trail the Giants 1-0. family walking through the gates here at Chase Field, greeted by team president and CEO Derek Hall. The 40 millionth fan in Diamondbacks franchise history. It's our Chaz Roberts Air Conditioning Cool Play the Game. Congratulations to Matt, Kelly, Tyler, and Michael, the Carey family, taking us over the 40 million fan mark. Congratulations. Wow.
It was officially the 11,479th person through the gate tonight. Congratulations to the Carey family.
Gregor Blanco, first pitch swinging here in the 5th. Skies it in the air to left center field. A.J. Pollock's there, one away. And the Carey family, not them. They represent all the great fans who've been here for countless memories. 5 National League Western Division titles and the 2001 World Championship. During each year of the Diamondbacks' existence, the team has topped more than 2 million fans, and we will once again reach that mark here in 2013. So on behalf of the Arizona Diamondbacks, we want to thank you, all of our incredible fans, for your unwavering support of this baseball franchise. Tim Lincecum struck out his first time. Each team with 3 hits. Giants have a 1-0 lead. Angel Pagan back off the DL. Led off the game with a double. He scored a run on Brandon Belt's sacrifice fly. That's been all the scoring so far. Randall Delgado has looked very impressive. At one point he retired 9 straight. He's got 3 strikeouts and 1 walk so far. Doesn't get the call there from Bill Miller. It's 2-2. Misses again. It's full. Angel Pagan is on deck.
We'll see how it goes from this point forward. We showed you this graphic earlier. Randall Delgado in innings 1 through 3 has been tremendous this season. 4+ is when he runs into some issues, especially with that home run ball.
And he loses Lincecum, who gets a 1-out walk. Second walk issued by Delgado. So here's Pagan, who has doubled, scored, and grounded out. 1 for 2. Missed the Giants' last 82 games with a left hamstring injury. Had surgery. And he's in the lineup tonight for the first time since May 25th. Pagan turned 32 years old last month. Getting some snacks here at Chase Field. The durability concern, a reason there were questions about the deal the Giants just gave Pagan. $10 million a year for 4 more years. This guy has been a great player for them, no question, but he is already 32 years old. But they went all in on Pagan after the World Championship. 0-2.
There's an old saying in this game, be careful not to fall in love with your own guys. And certainly it's hard not to fall in love with the team that takes you to the World Championship 2 of the last 3 seasons. And as you mentioned, Pagan was a big part of that. And you know, I think through rose-colored glasses, you'd like to think everybody's going to come back and even be a little better than they were last year. It certainly hasn't been the case for the Giants this season.
Especially with a guy who's, you know, speed is a big part of his game, and you're going to give him about $10 million a year into his mid-30s. It was an interesting call. You always want to congratulate a ball club that keeps its own guys and reinvests in the players that it's had success with, but at the same time. Lifted in the air to right, Gerardo Parra. In front of the pool, has it for the second out. And Marco Scutaro is another guy that they not only decided to keep it, to reinvest it in. He got 3 years and $20 million. That'll be a contract that takes him up until his 40th birthday. He grounded out his last time up.
Well, talking to Bruce Bochy before the game, and I think Boch has a way of breaking things right down to the nut. We were always a team that was built around pitching and defense, and we'll find a way to score a run or two. Well, this year we ain't pitching, we ain't fielding, and we ain't hitting.
Other than that,
yeah.
Mrs. Lincoln,
pretty simple. You know, when you are a team that is built around pitching and defense, and your team's kicking the ball all over the field, and your team ERA is third from the bottom in the National League, you're going to have to score more than 1 or 2 runs a day to win.
And they've had injury issues too.
Oh,
Vogelsong has had problems, and we mentioned Pagan with a surgery, so everybody goes through that too. Boy, this guy has been a player ever since they got him from Colorado. What a difference he made. 61 games last year after the trade from the Rockies to the Giants, and he hit .362. Hit safely in 52 of those 61 games once he became a Giant last year. And then, of course, was part of that phenomenal comeback win over the Cardinals in the NLCS. He hit .500 in that 7-game series, was named NLCS MVP. 2-2.
As I mentioned earlier, SCUTARO is one of those guys. His reputation in the game is a guy that does everything right. Fundamentally solid player. He'll hit to the situation. He'll play strong defense out there at second base. We've already seen an example of that in this ball game. Just one of those guys, as a manager, you never have to give him a second thought. You know he's going to be in the right spot when he should be.
On the ground to Didi Gregorius. They go the short way, and that's the inning. Randall Delgado is through 5, but he trails it 1-0. Great place to watch a game, so come on down, cool off, watch the Diamondbacks in the air-conditioned comfort of Chase Field all weekend long against the Giants, then 3 against the Blue Jays Monday through Wednesday. A.J. Pollock, Didi Gregorius, and Randall Delgado here against Tim Lincecum. A.J. flying out to center his first time up. He's 0 for 1. The pool's always, if you got a birthday, look, they made up some t-shirts. Have a birthday party out by the pool. It's nice work out there.
Yeah, it's real nice work. What a great place to spend your birthday.
It's my birthday and I will party if I want to.
It's your world. Of course, you share a birthday with Ted Williams, who would have been 95 years old today.
Base hit. As soon as you mention Ted Williams, there's a base hit. Theodore Samuel Williams. There goes the greatest hitter who ever lived. Leadoff single in the 5th for AJ.
Yeah, I believe I've said it before. We talk about batting average and on-base percentage and slugging percentage, and the really, really good players, the batting average starts with a 3, the on-base percentage starts with a 4, and the slugging starts with a 5. Ted Williams' career, 344 hitter, 482 on-base percentage, 634 slugging percentage.
A career 482 on-base percentage.
How about that?
Wow. No one has rolled up the line at first. Belt has one play. He'll tag Didi, and AJ moves to second. Tying run in scoring position with 1 out for the Diamondbacks.
Well, they say that Ted Williams was the first player to ever really have that defensive shift used against him. And they said the first time they tried it, the opposition tried it, he actually stepped out of the batter's box, looked over at the opposing manager and laughed, and then hit a line drive through the shift anyway.
I want to say that was Lou Boudreau.
That sounds right. It was on our This Day in Baseball history about a month or so ago. They were saying it was the first time they felt that a shift had ever been used, and Ted got a kick out of it.
The Williams shift, as it came to be known. Right back to the mound. Lincecum looks Pollock back to the bag. They retire Delgado for the 2nd out. Brings up Gerardo Parra, who's 0 for 2.
It's always a tough one for a base runner at second base. You're taught to advance on anything hit to your left. Well, that ball was hit to AJ's left, but it wasn't hit hard enough to get past the mound. That's why so many times you'll see runners at second base get caught off on balls hit right back to the pitcher. It's to my left. I should advance to third base. The pitcher makes a great play, and all of a sudden you're out in no man's land.
Trying to get that tying run in from second with 2 down. Parra 0 for 2. Back in the leadoff spot tonight. And this is, right now, the 500th at bat of this season for Parra. First time he's ever reached that milestone in his career, and that's what he said in spring training he wanted. 500, that's a good number for me. Well, here it is. Now with 135 hits this year. There it is, 499 coming in. 135 hits, a career high. Gerardo has also set career highs this year in runs scored, doubles, and homers. His changing speed's really well done. AJ Pollock at second after a leadoff single. On the ground at first, easy play for Belts, and they strand Pollock at second, and that's it. We're through 5. Diamondbacks trail Lincecum and the Giants 1-0. your link to what's next. By Mazda. We believe if it's not worth driving, it's not worth building. And by Lone Butte Casino. You're in for more winning moments at Lone Butte Casino. Gorgeous night in downtown Phoenix. Giants and Diamondbacks. Chase Field. 80s night here at the ballpark. Big weekend series against these Giants who lead at 1-0. As we start the 6th, Brandon Belt, Buster Posey, Hunter Pence, 3, 4, and 5 against Randall Delgado. And Delgado has given up just 3 hits so far. And we've got ourselves an old-fashioned pitcher's duel. It's our APS Energy All-Stars, Lincecum and Delgado. Not flashy, certainly, but very effective.
The Giants manufacturing that run right out of the chute tonight after the Angel Pagan double to lead off the game. A sac bunt by Scutaro, a sac fly by Belt. That's been pretty much it for the offense for either team.
Roll to first, Goldie. Delgado covers, 1 out. Pagan double to lead off the ball game, then a pair of 2-out singles in the 4th by Pence and Sandoval, and that's been it for the Giants against Delgado, who's creeping up now on 90 pitches. Buster Posey has walked and grounded out 0 for 1. Buster hitting over 340 the last 2 weeks, but just 1 extra base hit in his last 20 games. Excuse me, right to Didi. There's the 2nd out.
Sometimes you get lucky on those excuse me swings and the ball finds a hole, but fortunately for the D-backs, that one lined right at Didi.
They're going to make it a quick inning. He'll work to Hunter Pence with 2 outs.
Hunter Pence has one of the more unusual preparation swings in that on-deck circle that you will ever see. I can't even adequately describe it. It's just so awkward looking, but everything he does is something that triggers a thought in his mind where he wants his body to be when the pitch is being released. We've seen Goldie in the on-deck circle. He takes a real short, abbreviated practice swing. Other guys do certain things in the on-deck circle, but it's all designed to be reminders of things that you practice every day, every day, every day. Just little reminders.
Randall Delgado works a 1-2-3 6th. 1-0 Giants. CenturyLink, your link to what's next coming up for the Diamondbacks. Adam Eaton, Paul Goldschmidt, and Martin Prado, 2, 3, and 4. continues. Full slate of games. We'll start with West Virginia and William and Mary, followed by third-ranked Oregon taking on Nichols State. And a showdown between Washington and number 19 Boise State. Fox Sports 1 is your home for college football all week long. Crazy game last night, going late into the night between Vandy and Ole Miss. That was a thriller. And Tim Lincecum wants the mound attended to here. We've got the umpiring crew out there. Dale Scott's the crew chief. Bill Miller, the plate umpire. And here we go. Adam Eaton, Paul Goldschmidt, and Martin Prado will lead it off here in the 6th. 4 hits for the Diamondbacks, 3 for the Giants. And Lincecum has looked very good, and we talked about his struggles this year and learning to pitch with diminished velocity. He's been adding and subtracting and pretty effective so far.
And has stayed away from the base on balls, which is something that's really bitten him at bad times this season. Only 1 walk in the game. That was back in the 4th. With 1 out to Aaron Hill. He was cut down trying to steal second base. Coincidentally, the first runner that's been thrown out this season with Tim Lincecum on the mound. Opposing base stealers have been a perfect 18 for 18 against Lincecum this season before Aaron Hill was gunned down in the 4th.
Oh, it's funny. We'll sell some tickets now. Don't forget, 2014 season seats are on sale right now, and get a postseason priority pass when you become a 2014 D-back season ticket holder. Check out full season, half, series, or even a weekend season ticket plan. So buy or renew your 2014 season tickets and guarantee postseason tickets by calling 602-462-4600 or log on to dbacks.com/tickets and join us at Chase Field. It's the place to be. Lincecum had great success last year working as a reliever in the postseason. And he had scuffled, of course, during the regular season as a starter. Ended up losing his rotation spot in the postseason. But out of the bullpen there, 13 innings in relief, 17 strikeouts. He gave up only 1 run. And one thing that did seem to help him was getting rid of the windup and pitching just out of the stretch.
You know, and maybe for a guy, as I mentioned earlier, most of his career he's been able to get by just rearing back and firing as hard as he can, trying to blow the ball by hitters and coming in short spurts out of the bullpen. Maybe he was able to revert back to old tendencies. You know, don't try to be too tricky. Don't pace yourself. Just give it everything you got as long as you can go. And as you said, he became a key piece to that bullpen for the Giants.
And there are people that think maybe if he doesn't stick around with the Giants, he'll go somewhere after his contract runs out and become a reliever or even a closer. And there was a lot of discussion at the trade deadline that maybe this is the year the Giants decide to move Lincecum. His contract is running out after this season, and a team like the Tigers or a contender gets him and tries to make him a late inning guy. Because he certainly had a lot of success in that role last year with the Giants.
Seems kind of funny that Lincecum has issues with the landing hole on the mound, since he takes probably the longest stride, certainly of any right-handed pitcher in the National League. You would think he would be way out past the landing hole that Randall Delgado has been using in this game. Maybe it was getting to the point where he was just landing right on the edge of Delgado's landing hole, and they manicured the mound to his liking, and we'll get back to baseball.
Adam Eaton has 2 of the Diamondbacks' 4 hits. He doubled in the 1st and singled in the 3rd. And Adam has had a tremendous month so far, hitting over 300 in August. Got 17 runs scored in 22 games. And a very effective bat at the top of this order. Now that he's finally got to all that injuries and the elbow and everything behind him, and he can just play baseball again. Very comfortable in the 2 spot. And he takes a strike at 0-1. Giants have won just 4 of Tim Lincecum's last 18 starts. Batman is in the house. I suppose since it's 80s night, that would be Michael Keaton. And Val Kilmer and George Clooney and all the other guys who were involved in those versions of the Batman movies. Only 4 wins for the Giants in Lincecum's last 18 starts. They've averaged barely 2.5 runs per game for Lincecum during that stretch. So you were talking, Bob, earlier about Bruce Bochy saying they rely on, scoring a run or two and making it stick, and that's certainly been what's happened here with Lincecum on the mound. They just have not been able to make it stick. The run support hasn't been there. So far, he's got Goldie both times. Right at Crawford at short. First out here in the 6th. They get Eaton for the first time tonight.
It's a little out of character for the D-backs here tonight against a pitcher they've had some success against over their last 33 games going back to July 23rd. The Diamondbacks all tops in the National League in these categories. Runs per game at 5.06, batting average at 276, and on base percentage at 345.
0-6 in his last 8 starts against the Diamondbacks. The ERA almost 6. The offense has been clicking for the Diamondbacks, as Bob pointed out, just not so far tonight. 4 hits, 3 of them singles. Best offense in the league since July 23rd. And of course, Goldie a big part of that. He's hit safely in 10 of his last 11 games. He's hitting .370 over that span. They're scoring, they're getting guys on base, taking their walks. Goldie ahead here, 2-0. Lincecum creeping up on 80 pitches here with 1 out in the 6th. Prado on deck. Fisted, shallow center, and it drops in. 1 out single for Paul Goldschmidt. Diamondbacks have a base runner against Lincecum. Everybody in a pool.
Bad mistake that time by Lincecum. Missed his spot by a mile. Goldie jams himself a little bit, and that's what happens when the outfielders play with their heels on the warning track, respecting the power of a hitter like Paul Goldschmidt. When you miss hit one, has a real good chance of dropping in front of him.
5th hit for the Diamondbacks. Here's Prado, who's 0 for 2. Martin Prado has hit in 5 straight games and 14 of his last 15.
For me, Tim Lincecum was always a guy you could take an extra step or 2 on your lead over there at first base. He does not like to throw to first and doesn't really work on his pickoff move. Kind of comes in stages. Steps off the rubber, turns, and then whips a throw over to first base. And good base stealers, guys that can read that move, should be able to get at least an extra step, if not 2, on their lead.
Goldie's got 13 steals this year. He's been caught 6 times. Lincecum really seems to be struggling with his command right now. Getting a little sloppy here. Long look down to Matt Williams at third. Martin Prado leading the National League in hits and RBIs this month. Hasn't got his strike yet, so he'll wait. There it is, 3-1. Aaron Hill on deck. He walked his last time up. Goldie takes off. Base hit. And Goldschmidt will head for third. He'll make it. First and third, 1 out for the Diamondbacks. Make it 6 straight games with a base hit for Martin Prado.
Yeah, technically this is not a hit and run, but it sure looks like one. Paul Goldschmidt on the move over at first base. Martin Prado in the 3-1 count is just looking for something he can hit hard. That time, fortunately, the Giants had the shortstop, Brandon Crawford, covering the bag on the stolen base attempt, and Martin Prado drills it right through the area that he evacuated.
And a chance now for Aaron Hill. Paul Goldschmidt on third, Martin Prado at first. Just missed him inside, 1-0. Aaron Hill batting just under .350 since the All-Star break. He's got 20 RBIs in his last 33 games. Big RBI spot right here. There's the strike, 1-1.
And as an offense, you have to sense your opportunities. Lincecum, although not as dominating as we've seen him in some of his starts, is looking pretty good tonight. But in this inning, his command has been a little spotty. He's fallen behind some hitters. He's given up some hard hit balls. You got to realize that this might be your best chance to break through against him.
2-1. He's laboring here, still with only one out. Bounce to third. That's a foul ball. Dale Scott, the crew chief, is at third base. And we'll do it again.
Pounded right down the third baseline. Sandoval fields it behind the bag. The question is, did it go over the base? If it goes over the base, even if you field it in foul territory, it's a fair ball, but that one clearly hit on the foul side of the bag down there.
So it's a strike for Lincecum. 2-2 now. It's full. Miguel Montero is on deck. Paul Goldschmidt at third, Martin Prado at first. 3-2 to Aaron Hill. Ball four, the bases are loaded. Second walk issued by Tim Lincecum, both to Aaron Hill.
Coach Dave Righetti making his way out to the mound here. Have a chat with his right-hander, make sure they know exactly how they want to go after Montero, and also how the Giants want to play their infield defense here. I would assume they're going to play back up the middle of the field, possibly play the third baseman Pablo Sandoval in a little bit.
Those relievers for the Giants just got up right now, and they are warming up in a hurry. Everyone's got a wish list, and at the top is a Diamondback win. So here's Miggy. Singled in the second, struck out looking in the fourth, 1 for 2. And right now, set your watches to Miggy time. Goldie, the runner, at third, Prado at second, and Aaron Hill at first.
Ideally, you want to get a ball up in the zone right here, something you think you can hit in the air to the outfield. Obviously, you'd like to get a base hit to the outfield, but at worst, a sac fly to tie up the game.
0-2. And Mickey shaking his head. Matt Williams at third. Two down. A.J. Pollock.
3 splitters in a row from Tim Lincecum to record the strikeout there at Miguel Montero.
A.J. flied out to center in the second and singled his last time up. Bases full of Diamondbacks, 2 outs. One 1-0. AJ still qualifying as a rookie this year. He is first among National League rookies in doubles with 25 and in runs scored with 54. Goldie at third, Prado at second, Hill at first. There's a strike, 1-1. Adam Eaton led off the inning by grounding out. Goldie and Prado singled. Hill walked. Bases full now, 2 outs. Gary De La Rosa, the left-hander, warming. Right now, pitcher spot is in the hole.
How about the 9th wild pitch of the season for Tim Lincecum right now? We don't care how we get that guy on the dish, just get him on the plate.
1-2. Pitch inning so far for Lincecum. Knocking on the door of 100.
Boy, a 3-2 count would be sweet with 2 outs in the inning. Get those runners on the move.
Didi is on deck. Sandoval keeps it a 1-0 Giant lead. A.J. Pollock down the line to third, and Sandoval snares it for the final outs. We'll head to the 7th. Diamondbacks still down 1-0. Wow. At third with the bases full and 2 outs. That would have been a nice one to get down that left field line.
Oh, that would have been action down into that left field corner, but Sandoval not only makes a nice diving stop to keep that ball out of left field, but quickly gets to his feet, makes a strong throw across the diamond.
Ramcroft's tools of the trade, potentially a game saver for Tim Lincecum. And sure enough, guess who leads off the 7th against Randall Delgado? Sandoval. 1 for 2. First pitch swinging, popped up foul ground third base side. Prado in front of the D-backs dugout. 1 pitch, 1 out. 6 in a row now, set down by Delgado. Boy, Randall Delgado has been terrific tonight. Giving up just 3 hits. Got 3 strikeouts. Has walked only 2. A lot of ground balls, a few pop-ups. Brandon Crawford, 0 for 2. He struck out his last time.
That's what the leadoff man swinging at the first pitch and making out will do to you as the second hitter in the inning. You're almost obliged to take until you get a strike just to make sure Randall Delgado doesn't have a quick inning.
So you're almost conceding a first pitch strike then.
Yeah. I mean, it's not carved in stone. I mean, there have been a lot of hitters that go up there after 1 pitch, 1 out and swing at the next first pitch they see, but conventional baseball wisdom is you take till you get a strike after a 1 pitch out.
Center field, A.J. Pollock backing up. Crawford gave it a ride, but quickly 2 down. The view from the RamTrucks.com pool area out there in right center.
You won't need that glove till next half inning.
Randall Delgado coming up on 100 pitches here as Blanco steps in. He's 0 for 2.
You would assume this is probably it for Randall Delgado. His spot is due up second in the bottom half of the 7th. And got to score at this point.
Randall has been at or over 100 pitches only 5 times this year. His highlight was throwing exactly 100 in a 3-hit shutout of the Padres here at Chase Field July 26th. His high for the season is 114. That was 2 starts ago in a loss at Cincinnati. That's driven to left, right at Adam Eaton. And Randall Delgado has set down the last 8 he's faced. We'll go to the home half of the 7th. Diamondbacks still trail it though, 1-0.
Game continuing, and you fly to LA, go back to play here, it's really tired. And when you got the off, the body stay relaxed. He got more power for next day, and that's the big point for when you have a day off.
Yeah, guys, the schedule definitely taking a toll on these players, but I tell you, I was in the clubhouse earlier today, and they seemed very recharged and ready for tonight. Let's see if all that R&R can get this offense going here. Definitely had some opportunities to capitalize, but guys, you also had a break and a rare day off. Did you guys do anything interesting?
I went to see a Woody Allen movie. It was pretty good. Kate Blanchett was outstanding. Blue Jasmine.
Yeah, we thought about going to see Blue Jasmine. We ended up going to see, what is it, We Are the Millers?
That's funny.
It was funny.
Where they go to Mexico in the recreational vehicle, that was funny. The mover reviews and everything else, courtesy of Steve Berthiaume, Bob Brenly, Joe Borowski along the way. This is your inning, your instant offense here.
That's how you guys have cast me, but you're putting me on a lot of pressure right now.
Well, that's what your past managers told us every time you came in the game. Yeah, the team scored some runs.
That is true.
Dale Scott says Didi win. Javier Lopez, the left-hand specialist, on to face Gregorius to open the Diamondbacks' 7th here. So that's the end of Lincecum's night. Javier Lopez, the numbers on him, his 57th appearance. He's unscored upon in 50 of 56 appearances this year. Delgado's spot is due up next, and Willie Bloomquist is in the on-deck circle. Well, I tell you what, Joe, Randall Delgado, this was one of his best starts of the year.
You know what I thought he did excellent tonight was he really kept his fastball down in the zone. He got a ton of ground balls tonight, and I just thought he did a great job of not falling into patterns. I thought he used his fastball more than he usually does tonight. He threw some very good changeups, but I thought he really stayed exclusively with his fastball.
And mid-90s fastball, too.
He was feeling good today.
He sure looked good. Just need to get him a run here. 2-2 on Gregorius, who's 0 for 2.
Yeah, Joe, talking about the other starting pitcher, Tim Lincecum, you've seen a lot of him, and we've all kind of seen him develop. He came up as just a wild, hard thrower, lots of strikeouts, but he's kind of evolved as well. We saw him throw a lot of off-speed pitches tonight.
As most pitchers going throughout their career and they start to lose their velocity, you have to reinvent yourself. And if he wants to stay in the big leagues, he's going to have to learn how to now become a pitcher instead of a thrower. Early in his career, when you're throwing 95, 96, you can, if you fall behind, you rear back and let it go. But now when you're throwing, 89, 90, 91, 92 on average, you're going to have to learn how to pitch. And now he's starting to use a sinker. He's starting to use his breaking ball a little bit more. And that's just evolving as a pitcher if you want to stay around this game.
Brandon Bell to Lopez covering. Didi is the first out here in the 7th. And here comes Willie Bloomquist, who will hit for Randall Delgado. What do you think about the idea, Joel, have Diamondbacks Live right after the ball game, of Lincecum as a reliever? We were kind of kicking that idea around. It's been discussed around the league. He was so effective in the postseason last year.
And that's just it, is he has done it. And I'm sure that's the last thing on earth he wants to do.
Yeah.
But it could be just out of merely staying in the big leagues and finding a job. He may find himself in the bullpen, and that's what happens to a lot of starters. You have a long career as a starter, and then eventually your stuff just isn't there, and you get shipped off to the bullpen.
Wither jumps on the first pitch, grounds out to Scutaro, 2 down. Joey, 2 quick outs out of you so far.
Yeah, I'm trying. I'm just picturing myself on the mound right now. Diamondbacks haven't quite seen my face out there.
Parra over 3. As they're going to have Lopez go the whole inning. This is a guy who's in many ways the ultimate loogie, but he's going to get all 3 or the first 3 batters in the inning anyway. And you've got another lefty on deck in Adam Eaton, so a good inning here for Javier Lopez. 0-1. Diamondback bullpen is busy. Will Harris throwing with Glenn Sherlock looking on. 1-1 to Parra. Trying to bunt for a base hit there.
Looking for a way to get on base any way you can, especially with Lopez out there. Very tough on left-handed hitters. He comes at you from the side there. Looks like he's going to hit you.
Ooh, that found a bare spot on Buster's side. Watch this.
Looked like left rib cage. Oof. You can see that little buckle right there that holds the chest protector with those straps around your back, and those buckles, they can occasionally dig right into your rib cage. That does not feel good.
Bob, I just don't understand why any of you guys would want to throw that equipment on and sit behind a dish. You take a beating regularly.
1-2. In the air to center, right at Pagan. Joe, you were 0 for 3. Nice effort out of you.
Try better next time.
And we'll see on Diamondback Live after the ball game. Jay Onright, Dan O'Toole, joined by Donovan McNabb, Gary Payton, Andy Roddick, and Carissa Thompson. They'll bring you everything you need to know about the world of sports. Fox Sports Live, airing nightly on Fox Sports 1. For channel listings, go to foxsports1.com. 8th inning at Chase Field, still a 1-0 ball game. Giants got their one in the first, and it has held up so far. New pitcher on in relief of Randall Delgado, who was outstanding tonight, is Will Harris, his 48th appearance of the year. He's pitched 40 innings for the D-backs, given up 36 hits with 42 strikeouts. And the pitcher spot will lead it off for the Giants here, and hitting for the pitcher is the lefty Roger Kieschnick. Played only 25 major league games, just got called up at the end of July. So Kieschnick, Pagan, Scutaro, 9-1-2 here against Harris in the 8th. Kieschnick played 101 games at AAA Fresno this year, hit .273 with 13 homers. He's a 3rd round pick by the Giants out of Texas Tech in 2008. One and two.
I'm not sure whether this says how good Kieschnick was or how bad the rest of the Fresno Grizzlies lineup was last year, but he missed 3 months of the season with a left shoulder injury. Still led the team with 15 homers.
Ouch, babe.
Ouch. They like his power. They just want to see a little bit more consistent contact out of Kieschnick.
Look like he broke his bat there. Roberto Kelly at first. Will Harris last appeared in Tuesday's game against the Padres. He faced 4 batters, gave up 2 hits, recorded a strikeout. Will has given up just 1 run in his last 9 appearances, 7 strikeouts in 7 2/3. Kieschnick's a big guy, 6'3", 220. 2-2. Drives that one down the line in right, but it is slicing foul. Back with you tomorrow. Big day here at Chase Field and on Fox Sports Arizona. Diamondbacks live pregame show at 4:30, game at 5:10, then the alumni game after the Giants game. Diamondbacks will be wearing the throwbacks tomorrow. And BB, you and I have been trying to come up with outfits to wear tomorrow too, to keep in the theme of things, and we have a number of items on our rack back here. Still haven't decided. Big strikeout for Will Harris. One away here in the 8th. There's some purple and black golf shirts. We have the uniforms. We have one hideous Hawaiian shirt that our unreliable staff showed up with earlier today. I mean, do we had a shot of this thing? Chewbacca in the house, apparently. This is one of the suggestions that was turned in by the fashion department. It's somewhat worse than that. That's a good look there, but here's Pagan, who doubled and scored back in the first. This has the ice cream cone hats on it. You want to wear this tomorrow?
Oh, that's a good look. That's nice.
This has got you written all over it.
It's got the pool, the snake, you got the bobbleheads.
What is that, velvet? This is beautiful. So that's an option. If you want to make a fashion statement, this is it.
That's a statement, all right.
It says run away.
I don't know why I'm laughing. I'm pretty sure I had one of those.
So it'll be a big day here tomorrow. And don't forget, when you're here at the ballpark tomorrow for either the ball game or the alumni game, and you can get into the alumni game free with a ticket to the Giant game, go down to section 111 and talk about some season tickets for 2014. Answer all your questions. Pick out a plan that's right for you. Get on board the D-back bandwagon. 1-2 to Pagan. No TV on the alumni game, so want to make sure you see Reggie Sanders try and go deep. Looks like he still can, certainly.
He looks just like he did when they saw him going deep.
Gonzo was up here earlier talking about hitting in the cage. Didn't sound like it went too well.
No, I think he got winded.
Got tired just thinking about it. There's Gonzo on the radio side with Greg Schulte tonight, filling in for Tom Candiani, who's preparing for the fantasy football draft. He takes the entire weekend off. He's the commissioner.
Be interesting to see if Gonzo gets drilled again this year. You know, he played so many practical jokes on his teammates when they were teammates that I think some of them are looking for some payback.
Been waiting a long time. This was last year's game. Mike Fetter's on the mound. And this is kind of like Greinke trying to hit Montero at Dodger Stadium. Took him 3 or 4 shots.
He hit him, but it didn't even put a wrinkle in the uniform. That's a good thing.
As you can see, there was no incident. Instead, Fett got a parade of high fives for drilling Gonzo. I still think it was the helmet, which is one of the worst looks of all time. 2-2. It's full. Scutaro's on deck. So we hope to see you out here tomorrow for the game against the Giants. 5:10 start. There's Gonzo and the second annual alumni exhibition game presented by Denny's and in partnership with Sanderson Ford. 3-2. Will Harris loses him, and the Giants have a one-out base runner. Pagan on base for the second time tonight. Here's Scutaro. Scutaro's 0 for 2 with a sacrifice bunt. Comes in with a 5-game hit streak.
Yeah, Bruce Bochy, a little bit similar to Dusty Baker in that he's got some guys at the top of the order in Pagan and Scutaro with speed and a guy that handles a bat. He can play a little hit and run at the top of the order. You got Brandon Crawford and Gregor Blanco down at the bottom of the order. He'll play hit and run with those guys, but the guys in the middle of the lineup, he just lets them go up there and take their swings.
Keep in mind now, Pagan activated from the DL before today. Been out 82 games after left hamstring surgery, but he appeared to be running very well when he had that double to lead off the ball game. Came in and scored the game's only run on a Brandon Belt sacrifice fly after advancing to third.
One of the more relaxed approaches at the plate that you will ever see. Marco Scutaro. He looks like he could almost fall asleep standing up there in that right-handed batter's box. Holds the bat down around his waist.
Marco Scutaro in his 12th big league season. He will turn 38 in October. Drives that one to the gap in left center field. A.J. Pollock, boy, he can cover some ground out there. That's the second out. He had been shaded over toward right. A.J. is one of the best defensive center fielders in the league for me.
Well, number one, he's got that great speed. Number two, he gets great jumps. Seems like he reads the ball off the bat extremely quick. Takes a direct line to where he feels the ball is going to end up. There's very little wasted movement out there. And you combine that with his great running speed, he gets to a lot of balls easily that other outfielders have to leave their feet trying to make a play.
Brandon Belt. So often on balls hit to the gaps, you're kind of holding your breath thinking it's got a chance to drop in, and it looks like it just might, and then suddenly AJ just comes flying over and gets under it and makes the catch. Belt is 0 for 2. He's driven in the game's only run with a sac fly in the first. He's hit in 6 straight.
Brandon Belt has made an adjustment. Astute fans will notice that he's not as wrapped around the bat as he used to be. If you can picture the big knuckles on each hand, he used to line up the big knuckles. Had a lot of trouble getting to inside fastballs. Just a very uncomfortable looking swing. So the Giants very slowly tried to get him to line his knuckles up a little differently. He was hesitant to do it. They called up Brett Pill from the minor leagues. They played him 3 days in a row, and Brett Pill had 7 hits, and suddenly Brandon Belt decided to make a change to his grip.
Pagan takes off. Belt pops it up to left. Adam Eaton's under it. And Will Harris strands that one-out walk. Will head to the home half of the 8th. The 2, 3, and 4 hitters, 2 up for the Diamondbacks, down 1-0. Colorado, Todd Helton hit 2 home runs. The Rockies had 19 hits, and they beat up the Reds 9-6. So good news for the Diamondbacks. The Reds go to Colorado and lose. So it's now, boy, Todd Helton coming up on 2,500 career hits. It's now 5.5. The deficits between the Diamondbacks and that second wild card spot. There it is, 9-6 your final in Colorado. Right under that here on the Chase Field scoreboard, you'll see the Dodgers leading the Padres 4-1 in the 6th. New pitcher for the Giants, Santiago Casilla. Boy, he's had a terrific year.
He's had an outstanding season. His 1.70 ERA, 5th lowest among National League relievers. Yeah, Bruce Bochy is not shy about using his bullpen. He's got 3 left-handed pitchers available out of the pen. He'll play matchups if he has a lead in a ball game from the 6th inning on.
Adam Eaton, Paul Goldschmidt, Martin Prado, 2, 3, and 4 in the 8th, down 1-0. Sandoval well in on the grass at third. Watching out for that bunt. Eaton doubled in the first, singled in the third, 2 for 3. Talking about fashion, that's a little embarrassing.
Occupational hazard. They have already been patched once. Those guys that are on base a lot and slide a lot, it's not unusual to rip up the knees or the back pocket of your pants sliding around on the infield, and you try to patch them up as long as you can. That one looks like they may have to go to a new pair of pants.
Well, as they say around here, grit don't quit. Sometimes it's hard on the laundry, but that's the price you pay. One and 2. Bounced up the middle, right to Crawford, though. He throws it out, 1 away. Time to answer the AT&T Twitter poll question. 80s night here at Chase Field. A variety of 80s spoof shots. We asked you which you thought was the best, and Goldie is the runaway winner as Caddyshack groundskeeper Carl Spangler.
Armand.
Freeze, Gopher. Goldie singled his last time up. Goldie hitting about 270 since the All-Star break with 10 homers. The numbers against Casilla. He spiked a couple here.
He's looking back to the mound. Hopefully we won't have to have another touch-up job out there.
This has been an issue. The last we saw this happen to Holmberg the other night, too. Goldschmidt ahead 2-0.
The Giants and everybody else in the National League are well aware that Kirk Gibson likes to turn his hitters loose 3-0.
How would you counter that?
You have to throw a strike, otherwise Goldie's on base. You just hope to throw a good strike. That time he misses low with a slider on a 3-0 count.
He's aboard for the second time tonight. Tying run on first, 1 out. Here's Martin Prado. And it's only on 80s night that Martin Prado's walk-up music would be Men Without Hats.
The music may be different, but the walk-up is exactly the same. He does the same thing every time he leaves that on-deck circle, tapping the toes of his shoes as he walks around behind home plate and then walks straight forward to that batter's box. Routine.
He's hit in 6 straight and 15 of his last 16. Well, we were up in this position 2 innings ago. EATON grounded out to short. Goldie got on first. Goldie ran on a pitch. Prado knocked it into left, and Goldschmidt went into third. Garcia has been wild so far tonight. 9 pitches, 6 for balls. He's behind 1-0. Diamondbacks have left 7 on base tonight, including the bases loaded. 46th time this season the Diamondbacks left the bases full. That's tied for 3rd most in the major leagues. 1-0. There's the strike. 1-1. Long look down to third at Matt Williams. Two and one.
He's just looking for some company down there at third base. You mentioned Paul Goldschmidt was running on the Martin Prado base hit back in the 6th and ended up advancing to third. That's the only D-back runner that's made it that far in the game.
Goldie was off on a pitch in Prado's previous at bat. It's a 2-1 count right here. What do you think?
I think they'll wait again. It was 3-1 last time. When Goldie ran with Prado at the plate.
Goldschmidt holds, pitches high, 3-1.
Now the wild card is, no pun intended, how wild Casilla is out there. You know, if you got a guy on the mound that you're pretty confident is going to throw a strike on a 3-1 count, and you have a hitter at the plate that's got a real good eye and will swing at strikes, take pitches out of the zone, that's when it's pretty safe to play hit and run.
Yeah, Casilla's thrown 12 pitches now, 8 for balls. Here's the 3-1. Goldie takes off. Up the middle. Right to SCUTARO, who steps on the bag, and they'll throw him out. Oh, hey.
Ram Trucks, proud partner of the Arizona Diamondbacks. And by Jack in the Box, go big at a participating Jack in the Box with Jack's really big chicken sandwich combos for only $3.99 plus tax.
9th inning at Chase Field, downtown Phoenix. Say cheese, it's still 1-0 Giants. And the new pitcher for the Diamondbacks, Brad Ziegler, his 66th appearance of the year. He's been a workhorse for the D-backs after pitching in 77 games last season. He's on here down 1-0 in the ninth. He'll face POSEY, Pence, and Sandoval, 4, 5, and 6 for San Francisco. Giants got a leadoff double by Pagan. He scored on a belt sacrifice fly, and that's been all the scoring so far. D-backs have out-hit the Giants 6-3, but they trail it 1-0. Buster Posey 0 for 2 so far. Boy, this worked out perfectly for the Giants. Couldn't have worked out worse, Bob, for the Diamondbacks.
Yeah, talk about buzzard luck. Ball hit hard right back up the middle of the field, but Goldie on the move, draws SCUTARO to the bag to take the throw, and unfortunately that ball's hit right to him. That's about as easy a double play as you'll ever see.
Popped him up. Aaron Hill's underneath. And if that just somehow hits Castillo off the leg and shanks and ricochets toward third or first, Goldie not only is safe, but he might even get to third.
Might end up at third base. And then you really got some action. And you may remember back in that 6th inning we were talking about on a 3-1 count, Goldie was on the move and Prado hit the ball in the hole at short because Crawford was the cover man on that particular time. But this time SCUTARO, the second baseman, was the cover man. Either way, they were going to have somebody standing right on the base.
And you saw Goldie's reaction of disgust standing on second. Oh, I don't believe it. Hunter Pence, 1 for 3, single in the 4th. There's a strike. It's 0-2. Keep in mind now, in the bottom of the 9th, the Diamondbacks will likely have to deal with Sergio Romo, who has been outstanding against the D-backs since he became their closer. And there he is. 41 for 45 in save chances since he took over the closer's job in August of last year. Strikes out Pence, 2 down. Hey fans, keep up with the pennant races. Catch the rest of the 2013 season in HD quality. Watch every out-of-market game live on over 350 supported mobile devices. Visit MLB.tv today. Watching and listening. 2 outs. Here's the Panda. Speaking about buzzard's luck, how about the play that Sandoval made? That might still be the play of the game. He made it third with the bases full earlier in the ball game. That was on the ball hit by A.J. Pollock in the 6th inning to preserve a 1-0 lead. Diamondbacks in all likelihood would have scored at least 2 runs on that play. Two and 1. This was the defensive play of the game so far. The Panda with the bases full. And instead of a couple of Arizona runs, that ended the inning and the threat. 2-2. He did not go, says Dale Scott at third.
The ball clearly hit Sandoval. They were just asking if he swung at the pitch. We've talked about this a lot recently. Even if you get hit by a pitch and you're swinging at it, it's still a strike. But in the estimation of third base umpire Dale Scott, he was able to check his swing as that slider came in there and bit him on the back thigh.
Can't be easy to hold up on a pitch as it's hitting you in the leg. So the Giants have a 2-out base runner for Brandon Crawford, who's 0 for 3. Diamondbacks in the home half of the 9th will have Aaron Hill, Miguel Montero, and A.J. Pollock. 5, 6, and 7 in all likelihood against the closer, Sergio Romo. Oh, 2. Little number, Ziegler makes a terrific play, and they get Crawford at first. Brad Ziegler fields his position, and they strand the 2-out base runner. Bottom of the 9th on the way. The Diamondbacks down 1-0. Food Stores is headed to Chase Field, and you can get on board. Stop by this month's participating Fry's Food Store in Cottonwood, and you can enter to win 2 seats on the Fan Express bus. All the info you need is at FoxSportsArizona.com. We'll see you here at Chase Field. The closer is on for the Giants in the bottom of the 9th. It's a 1-0 ball game. 32 for 36 in save chances, a 2013 All-Star. This is a familiar foe, Sergio Romo. As Joaquin Arias comes into the game, he'll play third.
See the numbers for Romo this season. He's not your prototypical closer. He's not a very big guy out there on the mound. He doesn't throw particularly hard, but he has tremendous command. 51 strikeouts against only 8 walks.
Aaron Hill leads off the 9th in a 1-0 ball game.
And he has been deadly here at Chase Field. Over the last 3 seasons, 14 games, has yet to give up a run. Perfect 4 for 4 in save opportunities, 16 punch outs, only 1 base on balls.
Aaron Hill is 0 for 1. He has walked twice. He did not go, says Todd Tishner at first. Hill ahead 2-1. Here's a look.
It's a flat slider from Romo. Sweeps all the way from one side of the plate to the other. Might have gotten a break there.
On the ground to Crawford at short. 1 away in the 9th. Brings up Miguel Montero. Miggy singled in the 2nd. He struck out his last 2 times up.
Yeah, Romo at times will do what they call pitching backwards. When he's behind in the count and the hitter has the advantage, he'll throw breaking balls, that flat slider. When he's ahead in the count and the batter's more likely to be looking for the breaking ball, that's when he'll sneak an 88-mile-an-hour fastball right by you on the inside part of the plate.
Miggy had a tough at bat in the 6th with the bases full against Lincecum. Lays off there. It's 1-0. Drives that one to right center field, and that gets down. Pagan over there to cut it off. Tying run aboard with 1 out. Montero 2 for 4. And here comes Tony Campana. He will run for Miggy.
Top spin line drive out toward the gap in right center field. Off the bat, it looked like that might split the gap and roll all the way to the pool, but Angel Pagan gets over there and cuts it off, holds Miggy to a single, and now Tony Campana will take over at first base, and the fun will really start.
Now Chavez will hit for Pollock. Does Xavi have any special responsibilities here with Campana at first?
Not in a pinch hit situation. Normally you would try to take a pitch or two to give Tony a chance to get himself into scoring position, but I think as a pinch hitter coming off the bench, you've got to be prepared to hit the first strike you see.
Chavez hitless in 9 plate appearances since his return from the DL. He has walked 3 times. His 15 games with that strained left knee. Campana holds. Chavez takes a ball. 2-0. Diamondbacks have out hit the Giants 7-3, but trail at 1-0. Campana bluffs it first. Chavez fouls it off. A couple of steps there by Tony, then he put on the brakes. Romo has closed out his last 8 save chances in 16 of his last 17.
Great stolen base percentage in his career. Let's see him get out there and take off.
2-1.
I mean, he's getting back to first base easily on that pickoff attempt. Went back on his belly with a head first slide. Probably could have gone back in feet first. Once again, he could probably get another step on his lead over there at first. Not that he needs it. He knows exactly how much of a lead he needs over there to first base, and with the timing of the play, the delivery to home plate, the catcher's release time, he knows how far he needs to get off to steal a base.
Campana bluffs again. Chavez pops it up. Crawford in shallow left. Fish on the edge of the grass. He's got it for the second out. What does that do to nullify Campana's speed at first? Now there's 2 outs.
Well, I think obviously it takes away any element of surprise. Not that there was one. I fully expected Tony to run early in the sequence there to Eric Chavez, but still playing it over there first base. You need to get a runner into scoring position. Now, of course, he can score from first on an extra base hit, but much easier to score from second base if he can find a way to get a jump over there.
Didi Gregorius 0 for 3.
Well, they say you don't want to make the last out of a ball game getting thrown out attempting to steal, but in this particular situation, I think that's the best approach.
Didi hitting about 280 over his last 12 games. Campana holding all the way. Gregorius looks at a strike. It's 0-1. Matt Williams at third. Campana bluffs again, pops it up. Shallow left center. Blanco, Pagan. Blanco has it, and that's the ball game. The Giants make that one run in the first stand, then they beat the Diamondbacks 1-0 to open up this 3-game series. Only 3 hits for San Francisco, but it was enough.
I talked earlier in the game about Bruce Bochy bemoaning the way his team has gone south this season. Build on pitching, defense, and try to score a run or two, which is exactly what they did tonight.
This one hurts. The Reds were beaten at Colorado 9-6, so the Diamondbacks miss an opportunity to pick up a game in the wild card race. Right now the Dodgers are leading the Padres 4-1 in the 7th. So that's it here from Chase Field. A lot more coming up right now on Diamondbacks Live, and a 1-0 Giants win. Guys.
All right, thanks a lot, Steve and Bob. Jody Jackson alongside Joe Borowski as we get you set for our post-game show. And, Joe, we talked about it during pregame, the importance of the Diamondbacks getting on a roll. 30 games to go. Now we're down to 29. But as Steve mentioned, they really missed an opportunity with the Reds losing tonight. It was a pitching duel. And Tim Lincecum had gone winless in his last 8 against Arizona. So what will you share with us about the way this one unfolded?
Well, there's no denying the fact that both pitchers dominated today. So I'm going to break down each outing, and although they approached it differently, I'm going to show you how they were able to shut down each team.
And the Diamondbacks out hitting the Giants tonight, 6-3, but it was the first inning. Randall Delgado did not get hit hard, but we'll show you exactly what went down and what both pitchers did so well. It's all coming up on Diamondbacks Live, presented by CenturyLink. D-backs fall to the Giants 1-0. Stay with us. We've got clubhouse reaction, hear from the manager, and Joe Borowski will break it down when we come back.